Blog Talk Radio.
Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. We gon' fight, we gon' shout for our rights without a doubt. We gon' love, we gon' sing, we gon' rise and do our thing. We gon' stand and join hands, united as one, we're in demand. Hear our voice, young and old, fight the lies, let the truth be told. Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. Oh, okay, we're back. I was rocking out, man, and it got cut off. What's up, Reg?
Not much more. Part 2 here. Here we go.
Part 2, man. This is an interesting topic, bruh. We doing it, man. We doing it. Before we get into it, I also I liked how you used the previous disclaimer about having other individuals go out to do their research. This is why we do the show, right? To start the conversation, because we want to build, so people can build their own infrastructure of knowledge and enlightenment. That's why we're doing this.
Yes, and to share that infrastructure with others, because you build your own consciousness and then you kind of put it out there and try to share it so that we can build better, stronger communities.
Exactly. All right. So I want to read this definition, this Nigger definition from dictionary.com, and they have a usage alert on here. So I'm going to read the usage alert. And if anybody wants to go and look up the word according to dictionary.com, please be my guest. So it's pretty lengthy in here, so I don't want to belabor the point, but I'm just going to read a little bit of it. Just the usage alert, and then it looks like it has 3 points to the definition. All right, usage alert. The term Nigger is now probably the most offensive word in English. Its degree of offensiveness has increased markedly in recent years, although it has been used in a derogatory manner since at least the Revolutionary War. The sense is labeled extremely disparaging and offensive, represent meanings that are deeply insulting and are used when the speaker deliberately wishes to cause great offense. It is so profoundly offensive that a euphemism has developed for those occasions when the word itself must be discussed, as in court or in a newspaper editorial. Quote, the N-word, end quote. Despite this, the sense referring to a, quote, black person, end quote, is sometimes used self-referentially among African Americans in a neutral or familiar way. The sense referring to other victims of prejudice, especially when used descriptively as to denounce that prejudice, is not normally considered disparaging, as in, quote, the Irish are the Niggers of Europe, end quote. From Roddy Doyle's The Commitments. I guess that's a book, or I don't know. Are you familiar with that? Roddy Doyle's The Commitments? Is that a book?
Yeah, it's a book that was turned into a movie. Okay.
But the other uses are considered contemptuous and hostile. Okay, then it goes on with I'll just read one definition and then we can continue. I'm tired of reading. So anyway, slang. Well, this goes on now. Point one: slang, extremely disparaging and offensive. A contemptuous term used to refer to a black person. B, a contemptuous term used to refer to a member of any dark-skinned people. Okay. Actually, let me go here. According to dictionary.com, it looks like this word, this Nigger word, originated from France and Spain from 1640 to 1650. French, negre, in Spanish, negro. So it looks like this is where the word, the Nigger definition originated, according to dictionary.com. So as you can see if you go on to dictionary.com, obviously Spain and France is not in Africa. So I just wanted to make that point, that the origin of Nigger, according to dictionary.com, is originated in France, French language, and Spanish from Spain, not Africa. So for my black people and non-white people, stop using the word. Stop being ignorant. See, you guys are going to make me hot. Y'all going to make me hot. Stop being ignorant. Stop being ridiculous with this word. Just stop saying it. Do your research before you speak. Ignorant ass. Okay, that'll be probably the first and last time you ever hear me cursing. By the way, ass is in the... It's just so ridiculous, man. I mean, the level of ignorance of people, and we keep saying this word, regurgitating ignorance at such a low vibration. People, get your vibration to a higher level. Ignorant people, get your vibration to a higher level. We can do this. We have to change it. If we don't change it, then nobody else will. So, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I like your compassion for it. And you're right. I mean, the use of the word itself, thinking about where it is, where it comes from. Sure, we could just say, oh, it doesn't matter. Just let people say whatever they want to say. But the origins of that word and how people are making money off of that word and how people are still using that word to keep, African Americans / black people, to kind of keep us down and to keep us from moving forward, in the very sense that this is a derogatory word. There should be an uproar. There should be an uprising of our people saying, hey, we're not going to, take this. And we don't want some, non-black person coming in trying to explain to us how this word is okay, because they haven't experienced it the way we've experienced it, and they never will experience it in that way. It's like, oh, well, I've been called that before. Well, you know what? You can be called that and then go on and have a privileged life. However, there are people who are called that. They're kept in this, particular societal, if you want to say, rung on the ladder, and it doesn't really help our people to be called that. Now, if every time someone is called that, they're then given, $200,000-$300,000, all right, sure, then I can see a benefit for it. But that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen unless you're like a mega star and you're putting it on wax or you're putting it out there in movies and stuff. And I'm not trying to call anyone out, but I am trying to get people to look at this in the sense that why would this word, be used so much, and why is it so popular in certain parts of our culture? And, really, why can't it just go away? It can't go away because it makes money for somebody. That's why it can't go away.
Very valid point, man. So yeah, let's go into that. The money part. Let's get real with it. We got all these entertainers, these rappers, specifically. I remember back in the day when the group NWA, and I'll call them out. I don't give a damn. When they came out on the scene, and I mean, they were just throwing the N-word out left and right. I mean, just the title of their name. And I'm like, what? I mean, because before they came out, the word really wasn't used in terms of hip hop like that. I know some of our other comedians, like some of our African American comedians like Red Fox and who else uses the N word? Why am I forgetting his name? Yes, Richard Pryor. And eventually Richard just stopped that. He said, man, I'm not doing that anymore, man. That was ignorant of me. So he definitely got himself on a higher level, on a higher vibration, and said, I'm stopping this. I'm doing a disservice to myself, and I'm doing this to service to the human level. So here we are now, and I'm not defending any of these people who throw out the N-word. And the thing about it, people, is most of the time when this N-word is said, most of the time, it's not even some of the time, most of the time when it's said, it's not even said for a purpose. Like, okay, I'm saying this word because it is a derogatory word, and this is what I mean for it to be derogatory. This whole idea that it's kind of like I'm going to take this word, reinvent it, and then make it kind of like a term of endearment type of thing. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, we're jumping points, but taking the word, I already think I said my piece on the taking the word back sort of thing. That is not a battle or a war that I would want to try to win. Now, if you want to take the word back and you want to go all the way back to where it means royalty and it means kings and queens, then just substitute that word for it. That's how easy it is. You want to call someone the N-word? Say, hey, what's up, king? Hey, what's up, queen? Sounds so much better, might give people a sense of pride, might, empower them. But if you take a word that, was a white, racist, derogatory word, and then say, oh, I'm going to take that word back. It's not our word. That is not our word, and that's the point that some people aren't seeing or the point that people aren't getting. So to that point of the question you're asking me, there is no making it a term of endearment to me. And I'll go off on a little aside where some people hadn't really thought about this, but when, we in our culture go around calling each other boo, I personally think that that's a derogatory thing as well, but it seeped into popular culture. That's for probably a different topic. The monetary part of this is, and I'm a creative person, you're a creative person, I understand that you may want to vent your creativity, you may want to say something about this, but you got to say it in a way in which people aren't going to latch onto it to where it's like, oh, this is an acceptable thing. You got to say it in such a way to make a strong conviction about people not saying it to each other, not saying it about another person of color. This is not a thing of, oh, well, I'm going to put it out there and then things are going to change. No, you're just putting it out there and making it more accessible and making it possible for other people to use it and then to have an excuse to back them up. So we're basically creating a nice history for using the N-word so that people who are not of color or who are of color can use it and say, well, I heard it in this Jay-Z song, so it's okay. Or I heard it in this Kanye song, it's okay. And just using those as an example because they're so huge in the media. And that's basically where it is. Somebody, somewhere, probably not an African-American person, sitting on some board of some communication company who's like, oh, yeah, this is a great idea to put that word out there because then, that kind of separates them and us once again. So it's a very incestuous kind of word. I mean, the meaning of it, the use of it, I don't know. I think instead of people getting outraged and all this, it's just so easy to stop using it or to alter it. Any rappers out there, you just text in, or sorry, on our blog, write a little note or something, and if you have problems with trying to find an alternate word to use other than that, let me or you more, I'm sure we can help you out.
Yes, I'm sure we can. Just by the way, man, the streaming portion is left, so the live show is done. So, but we're going to continue this conversation, and then we'll post it out to the interweb.
What? How did that happen? I thought we were doing 2 30-minute shows.
Oh no, I did it for 15.
Oh, okay, all right.
I didn't think we were gonna go deep into it, so obviously we did, but it's the recording. So we'll be able to post this as is. So yeah, man, it just fathoms me sometimes when and I don't get too upset anymore, but I think these particular words we definitely need to talk about because sometimes it's disheartening to see, especially when you're one of the only, like I was in the theater, one of the only quote black people, quote African Americans in the movie theater, and I'm looking around and most of them are just non-black people, laughing at it. And it's like, put yourself in somebody else's shoes or put yourself in my shoes. I mean, but as you were saying, you can never do that because you won't ever be that. But it was funny because, Seth MacFarlane, he never used, I'm just going to say, a derogatory term for a European, may that be quote unquote peckerwood, quote unquote cracker, quote unquote, I don't know, whatever Europeans are, called that are derogatory. And same with homosexuals. I mean, now he did use the FAG word, the fag word in there. But it's just amazing because when that word is dropped, meaning the word being the NIGGER word or NIGGA word, people laugh. Oh, that's funny. Oh, I mean, even if it is a hate word, then people, oh, that's funny, And it's just like, okay, well, let's start talking about, white people the same. What about Jews? I mean, if somebody put a derogatory term for a Jew, I think a person, quote unquote, so-called Jew would be upset of that, a Muslim.
Well, absolutely no. Let's go back to the Jewish person. Absolutely, people be upset because when Michael Jackson, who, one of our great, great artists who has passed away, when he put out a song and he put, I think the line was "kick me, kike me" or something like that. It was a national uproar that, he had put that in there. And again, he's an artist. He was expressing himself. Obviously, he worked, he knew, all Jewish people, and I'm sure that it wasn't, meant as a mean thing. This was just his creative, mind at work for whatever point he was trying to make. But there was a national uproar, and that's the point that people should be looking at, not the fact that he used the word. It's like, okay, so one man, one black African-American man used a word that wasn't. Now, if he had said the N-word, not a problem. But he used that derogatory remark, and there was an uproar. So see how that's kind of not balanced, people? That's a problem. That is an issue.
All right. And I think, and I could be wrong, but I think he might have said Jumi, but I could be wrong.
No, you're right. I was going to try to pull up the lyrics, but I think you're right that he said that as well.
So, it's very hypocritical. And, when we black people stand up for ourselves, all of a sudden we're, oh, you're militant. No, I'm not militant. I'm trying to raise my people, and I'm trying to raise the human race, right, to a higher vibration. I'm not militant. So if anybody who knows me, I can't speak for Reginald, but he might feel the some way. We're trying to raise consciousness here. Okay? You can use other alternative words to be funny, but just don't use that word. It's pretty damn simple.
Well, and here's another point too, Umoy, that a lot of people, I think that on a very, very global and on a scale of generations and things, I think a lot of people who did use that word at the time didn't have children. And then once you start having children and then your children are subjected to this, then I think you kind of change your thought about it a little bit. And that's exactly what's going to happen. I don't care how rich and powerful you are. Well, I should say rich. I don't care how rich you are as, African American or a person of color. That is still going to happen to, your kids. And that's a really, really horrible thing. It's like, so before you put it out there, maybe you need to think about how it's going to affect. I mean, you're talking to a person who has no children, but I definitely feel that our generation of kids that are coming up don't deserve to be put in situations like we were put in. And so it's up to us to try to, raise that level of consciousness to where they don't have to go through it.
Good point. I think, we talked about it, but people do your research, do your quote-unquote Google out there. There was a store in Malawi, Africa, and the store is called the Niggers. That's the store name, the Niggers. And when I first came across this information, I was like, nah, it can't be true. I mean, and I'm like, do your research. It's right there. And so I saw this one brother, he went out to Mama Africa, and he ran across it. He was like, I can't believe that this store is out there. Like, so that, which is, obviously we should probably get, one day have another topic, with stereotypes, especially within the African paradigm, from America to Africa and vice versa, and also in the UK and Jamaica, etc. But this is the type of low frequency that we're sending out, that America is sending out to the people. I'm including white people in that. I'm including black people in that. I'm including Asians, Latinos, everybody, this is what is being sent out to, or the manifestation, or what people think about black people, about themselves, right? So you have people in so-called Africa, right? Like this one store called the Niggers store that thinks it's cool to say that word. And it's a shame, because I'm like, you don't even know that Negus, Negus, right, came from the same continent that you live on. How ignorant. Once again, ignorance. What did Rick James say on the Dave Chappelle show? Cocaine's a hell of a drug. I think you said that right, bro.
Yep.
So the same thing in this particular instance. You know, the N-word's a hell of a word. It's a hell of a drug, man. And we got to start pulling ourselves away from this. So anyway, man, if you want to go ahead and elaborate or say whatever else you want to say or don't want to say, go ahead, man. I think I said my 2 cents for today.
Well, I wanted to the Michael Jackson song, which now I think has probably been edited, so you probably can't get the uncensored version of it. And I had a quote, but now I can't find it because my internet here is a little slow. But the song is called "They Don't Care About Us," and it is on Michael Jackson's History, Past, Present, and Future, Book 1. And man, there was a great quote that Michael had released in regards to, you know, all the controversy surrounding his use of some racial epithets, if you will. But I can't find it. Anyway, the creative mind works, you know, a lot differently than the normal mind. So, you know, I'm not putting out there to anyone, you know, if you're a poet, if you're a writer, if you're, you know, a musician, whatever, it's like, yeah, do your thing, absolutely, but also make it very clear what you're trying to do, and don't let people take your art and, you know, make it into this bad thing. Always, you know, support what you do and why you're doing it. I mean, that's the part I think some people don't see about creativity, is that we have to be responsible for it. We have to be responsible for this blog talk that we're doing, you know. So it's all really about just having a consciousness about, you know, your community and about your people, like other people have about their communities and their people, you know, Jewish people, Armenian people. I mean, it just seems that everyone has a collective consciousness about their culture except for us, and part of that is because our culture was taken away. So then we're thrown into this mass culture of trying to fit in with, you know, the white culture because it's the most profitable culture and it's the most popular one. And so we're trying to fit into that, whereas we probably need to just take a step back, start reading, start learning, start knowing about ourselves and creating that for, you know, the kids that are coming up and for the kids that are here now, because, you know, we can't have kids being directionless. And I kind of feel like, you know, we're doing that to a certain point. Just letting them be on their own for trying to figure out where they come from and who they are. That's not going to play. They need some guidance. So people, if you're listening, guide, mentor, strengthen, support. These are all words that that we should be using and we should be doing, especially with each other. We have to support each other. We have to lift each other up. I mean, that's, put down the gun, pick up a nice word, say a nice word, say a nice word, say a nice word, say a nice